Hey guys, it's Theo here from Rex Bowling Ball Reviews. Today we're going to go over a lesson that I had with Coach Mike Jasnau out in Reno. Just to put it easily, myself, I've been cupping the ball a little too much two-handed. I'm suffering from a small injury in my hand, just from too much muscle of cupping the ball, pulling my wrist back. But I am doing CrossFit. I am in great physical shape. But what can cause these injuries? What can cause strain? So looking at this lesson that I'm going to be sharing with you guys, it's a long one. Mike's going to be comparing my shots and my game to people like Chris Vi, Marshall Kent when he was two-handed for a short period of time. We talk about the mental game. We talk about the cadence. We talk about pushing the ball away too quick, how it's jagged, right? We don't want to do that. We want to be a little bit smoother. All this stuff is going to be extremely useful for any of you two-handers out there. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy this video, and feel free to click the like and subscribe button to find more awesome Rex content. All right, guys, here's the video.
Okay. Not too bad. I would never want this down below your waist. See how the center of the ball is just above the belt? That's pretty good. I think you're pushing forcefully now. I don't think you're pushing a hair early, but I think you're pushing forcefully. If that initial move is forceful, everything past that will be forceful.
So I just want to kind of show you guys, right? So me pushing the ball away a little bit quicker and forceful and being so far back on the approach, that was a big detriment to my game. So Mike actually moved me up a little bit and loosened me up in my approach.
You're going to feel herky-jerky, okay? You want to feel, like even watching motion, you're locking. It takes force to kind of lock with the weight in your hand, okay? Imagine your bowling ball is a motion sensor bomb. You want to move it smoothly so you don't blow up. Okay. On step 3, a common position for those two hands that have a push away would be kind of just in front of the shoulder. You're pretty close on that. Okay. I'm going to show you, I have a couple good examples. Like Belmo, I don't have. But his ball would be about a half a ball more this way. I don't believe he locks either. Okay.
So what Jasnau is talking about in terms of locking is going out like this and then just like locking that elbow and pushing it down. That's like that old we used to say, like the women in Nebraska, they push out, right? And they just like lock their elbows and go down. For some reason, I had a tendency of doing that as a two-hander, which is very odd. I think it's because I was back so far, and then Mike will get into that in a second. But
people that sorry, the two-handers that have a skip step have earlier timing. Okay, so that step is a timing step, kind of. In your defense, though, kind of, and you're not going to ever have a skip step unless you're early. But I think you're kind of too far back, so that step is kind of big because your body's like, aren't we supposed to end up at the foul line? Okay. Now, here as we see, there's a big separation between the two hands. We're going to try to get them closer. Okay. Your finish is actually really good, by the way. Okay. That's really pretty good. Okay. A little tell to me that tells me you can be a little bit forceful coming through. That back leg collapses in a little bit, came inside your hip, close to that back leg. That's just a sign you can be pulling a little bit hard. But your overall position is...
I never used to be the one to really have that leg come up. When I was younger, I had the leg come up. As I got older, that leg stayed down. I think it's just my hips because I had hip surgery in 2016. To each his own, but he is right? So that transfer of energy, a little bit lacking. I can definitely have a lot more power and a little bit of deceleration at the end of my approach.
Really pretty good. Whenever you fall off, you got too aggressive and pulled through too hard. Okay? Okay. Let's look at a different shot. It's going to look about the same. But you can see that push weight. You're shoving right there. Okay? Wow. That's why we use video. Because it doesn't feel like you're shoving. Force. Okay?
To all you guys out there and girls, right? So when you're out bowling and people say, why are you videotaping? Why are you taking so many videos? Well, the only way you could see what you're doing is by taking video. So I highly encourage all of you guys just to take some videos of yourself bowling so you guys can see what you're doing wrong. If something feels off, it's just nice to have a video from one, the side, or two, straight from the back so you can see all your angles as well.
arms at this point. That's why everything looks herky-jerky and rushed. Okay? So we're going to work on that. And you can do this stuff at home with a mirror.
So you guys can see right there, right? He compared my game to Chris Vi. Chris is obviously like loads better than I am, and he's at an elite level. And me being two-handed for about almost 9 months now, 8 or 9 months, you know, so great example of what is a good way to bowl two-handed. What are some good techniques for from the side? You guys can see the push away, you know, how I was so far back, you know, I was herky-jerky, as Jasnau would say. That's definitely a great example. Now, what we're going to do now is we're going to look at a segment where, you know, it's just from the back, and we can kind of see the difference from the back as well.
You can see your upper body is facing like that over here. So we can face your own lane. Okay? The ball's out to the right, so you can bring that in. And that'll help you square up. You bring it in as you push anyway. Hey, now you're facing your lane.
So what he means is I have a tendency, I did this as a one-hander because I got big shoulders, and I just have a tendency, I have to feel like I have to be so far open when I start, realizing that I don't have to, but again, pivoting your footwork and how your feet align to your target makes a huge difference. Like if I start a little bit square, it's okay, but like you have to make sure that like you go and your hips are opening up to the target as you throw the ball. I still struggle with that. I think it's just from me being such a bulky guy and having the problems I had as a one-hander kind of going into my two-handed game after now being so accustomed to it and doing it for so long.
Yeah. So might as well start out that way. Okay. These are little things that make differences. Footwork looks good. So there's no issue with step direction or anything. I think that looks pretty good. Okay. And see from the side view, we see different things than we see from the back. You can't tell you're being forceful with your push from the back. You can't tell that your feet are kind of quick early from the back. Okay. So from the back, you look way smoother.
So you guys can see from the back, you think, oh, that's pretty strong ball, pretty smooth approach. As Mike was saying, you don't really know what's going on until you take a proper look at some of the shots and from a specific angle. And that's why we do these coaching sessions with these coaches, right? Let's take a closer look at my release now. Let's see what that looks like.
That's why we do both views. Right? Because you think if 30 hours times 15 is 450. So, I lied, 495. Because 3 times 15 is 45. So I have you around 495-ish. So that's close. Okay. Upper 400, close to 500. You're fine. Okay.
Which is about right.
Speed. And I don't know if this is totally accurate. To me, that reads a little bit lower than what I'm seeing. But generally, you want speed kind of in that to match your rev rate, unless you're trying to do something different.
So with my ball speed being where it's at and even being at 500, you know, Mike was telling me that, I mean, it'd be nice if my ball speed was just a little bit higher, just so I can be a little bit more matched with ball speed. I'm a little bit rev dominant right now, which is really common in two-handers. So don't be opposed if your ball speed's not really high. It's something to work on. I still, you know, want to work on that. But again, when you're bowling on the tour and you're bowling on these tougher shots, sometimes you don't want to throw it like a missile. You want to be soft. You want to be able to throw a little bit, I wouldn't say slower, but 16, 5, 17. Like, see some of the guys on tour. I see a lot of two-handers. When I was bowling the Masters, I saw a lot of guys throwing at that speed. And nice and soft. You don't have to fire it. And you don't have to throw it hard to be good. You know, throwing missiles every time isn't exactly the answer to all your problems.
Generally, to match close to 500 rev rate, your speed would be in that kind of low 19 range.
If I threw it a little bit harder, it'd be like perfectly matched, right? So like 19, but it's for me getting it throw it that hard all the time. Oh my God. Especially considering I have a very traditional style approach. It's a little tougher for me to get that ball speed.
You have a bigger step that happened quicker. That's forceful. And that made everything past that forceful. I showed you with the Marshall and Chris how smoothly they initiate their momentum. If you have a lot of momentum right at the get-go, you don't build it. It just kind of stays the same. Okay? And then it can be hard to stop. Okay. So right there, I got the back toe just touching on both. If one is forceful, two is forceful. Now, you're more forceful.
So on the left, by the way, is my new push away or my new approach, and on the right is what I came in with.
Set up with your right hand. That wrist cup is not good for our bodies. Okay? That felt weird. That you're going to feel like, now I won't get anything on the ball almost. Like that's a weaker position. Okay? But we kind of referenced like T-Rex. T-Rex. Imagine trying to teach a real T-Rex to bowl two-handed. Oh, God. Let's go to step 2. If 1 is quick, 2 is quick. Okay? If 1 and 2 are quick, 3 is quick. Now, keep in mind, they were synced up after 1. Okay? If we go timing-wise, yes, it's going to feel like a smaller but slow.
So we had this little funny conversation, Mike and I, about the T-Rex, and it's kind of funny because my channel's Rex. We were joking about that, and he goes, "Oh, you're actually being a T-Rex," and I'm like, "Why is that?" Well, if I cup my hand too much and then I try to use my left hand, how can I do that? You know, so he was like, "Hey, you're like a T-Rex. You don't have any arms. It's like you're trying to reach for it." And I was dying.
Lower push. We're cutting out some of the motion. We don't want you to lock. Right? Locking takes force. And you were still kind of locking there, but it wasn't like a snap lock. Okay. The reference for timing. On the end of 2, we want the center of the ball just above the belt. Waist level just above the belt. There's a little wiggle room there. On the next step, I think there's wiggle room here too. Now, yes, a lot of the two-handers that have a push rate, they'll be about here with the ball. Okay, I showed you Marshall. That's why I'm glad I have Marshall on here because he's good two-handed. His ball was more about here. Okay, so there's a little wiggle room there. Okay, let's look at another shot. Push rate is 100% smooth. Okay. On the original shot, it was literally a shove.
So that just goes to show, right? So timing, super important. I just really muscly, locking that elbow, brushing my feet. I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster. We don't want that. So let's just move to the end here and just see, what he had to say about spine tilt as well, right? Because I know that was a big thing he wanted to discuss on this.
Straight up and down. So we tried to incorporate just a little spine tilt as you pushed. Okay. And I do like that quite a bit better, actually. Okay. You're still waist level. You're not below the belt. So that's a reference. I don't think you should be below the belt with the center of your ball. Okay. That would classify as a little bit early. Okay. If we go to the next step, and even here you can see by the lights you're a little bit lower. If we go to the next step. Again, look at that big light at the top. Your head's even with it on the left. Look at that. We actually see, look at that other light. Your head's below it. It's over here. Okay. That's nice. Okay. Yeah, the ball came back a quarter of the ball further. But that also helped that swing go up a little bit. See how we're getting more of that traditional kind of rectangle going? And this bottom arm has more angle. That's kind of flat. Okay. And you can kind of see that kind of, I don't know what shape that is, but that's not squared off.
It's like, yeah, it's like a rectangle.
Yeah. Okay. Finish will be about the same.
All right, folks, so there you have it. There's my lesson with Mike Jasnau. Lots of goodies in there. I'm going to be sure to bookmark each section so you guys can kind of skip through and, pick which areas you kind of want to look at. So Again, feel free to like and subscribe. You know, we got a lot of great content coming soon. We're going to be going out to Utah and actually shooting a vlog at the Championship Bowling Series event and the Masters, Spare Time Lanes in Roy, Utah. So looking forward to seeing y'all there. Again, appreciate you guys and hope you love this video. All right. Thank you.